You're tuned into Fake Famous. I'm Elliot Wilson, and today we're breaking down the rise, the reign, and the ruthless business of Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Every album, every era, every power move. Let's get into it. Like, comment, and subscribe. Every week we break down the real stories behind the music. Who you want to see next? Let us know below. Before he was the mogul behind power, petty Instagram trolling, and trolling the whole industry, 50 Cent was a certified street legend who became one of hip-hop's biggest commercial forces. In this video, we're breaking down every 50 Cent album that helped shape his legacy, from G-Unit's dominance to his solo projects and everything in between. Get Rich or Die Tryin, 2003. This wasn't just an album, it was an explosion. With production from Dr. Dre and the co-sign from Eminem, 50 Cent entered the game like a supervillain hero. In Da Club dominated radio, Many Men became a street classic, and the entire album carried the hunger of someone who had truly survived 9 shots. It sold 872,000 copies in its first week, and is now considered one of the greatest debuts in music history. Beg for Mercy, 2003, G-Unit. Later that same year, after the dust from Get Rich or Die Tryin' had barely settled, 50 Cent dropped another bomb. But this time, he brought the whole crew. Beg for Mercy wasn't just a group project. It was a statement. G-Unit wasn't a side act. It was a takeover. Lloyd Banks brought the punchlines. Young Buck brought the southern grit. And even with Tony Yayo behind bars, his voice still echoed through the project like a ghost on house arrest. 50 made sure his name stayed in the mix because G-Unit wasn't just a crew, it was a brand, and loyalty was part of the business model. From the moment Stunt 101 hit BET and MTV, the culture shifted. Kids weren't just downloading tracks, they were showing up to school in G-Unit sneakers, G-Unit hoodies, even rocking G-Unit spinners on their chains if they had it like that. The album had balance. You had street cuts like Poppin' Them Thangs, where 50 was basically giving a warning shot to the industry. Then you had Wanna Get to Know You, a smoother, more radio-friendly record that still kept its street DNA. And when Smile came on, it gave that unexpected vulnerability, like the hood showing you its human side for just a second. First week sales, 377,000 units. No radio campaign, no major push, just raw demand. Commercially, platinum, then double platinum. Fast. But the music was just one layer. 50 and G-Unit turned this album into a marketing machine. Reebok gave them a sneaker deal. The G-Unit logo was everywhere. Their DVD magazine was moving in the streets. They had video game deals in the pipeline. G-Unit wasn't just dropping verses. They were building a multi-million-dollar operation in plain sight. Beg for Mercy proved that 50 Cent wasn't just a hot artist. He was a CEO in training, and this project was the first real blueprint for how a rapper could take his circle and turn it into a corporate empire. One bar, one bulletproof vest, and one mixtape at a time. Curtis, 2007. This was the moment when 50 put it all on the line, not just for himself, but for a whole era of rap. The now legendary sales battle between 50 Cent and Kanye West wasn't just a competition, it was a culture clash. Gangsta rap versus backpack rap, street versus style, aggression versus artistry. 50 said it clear as day, if Kanye outsells me, I'll retire, and the world watched. Both artists dropped on September 11th, 2007, and when the numbers came in, Kanye sold 957,000 in the first week, while Curtis sold 691,000. 50 lost, on paper. But let's not get it twisted. Curtis wasn't a flop. Far from it. The album still went platinum and gave us I Get Money, one of the best flex tracks of the decade. That record wasn't just catchy, it was 50 flexing on his haters and his label. I took quarter water, sold it in bottles for $2. Iconic. He also experimented. Ayo Technology, with Justin Timberlake and Timbaland on production, showed a more futuristic sound. Straight to the Bank and I'll Still Kill had street energy, but something was missing. It wasn't the bars, it was the momentum. See, the sound of hip-hop was changing. Kanye was now the face of creative freedom, Lil Wayne was ascending, Drake was bubbling, and the throne 50 once sat on, it was being circled. But instead of panicking, 50 pivoted. He focused less on chasing charts and more on chasing equity. And that mindset shift would define his next moves. Before I Self-Destruct, 2009. If Curtis was the calm before the storm, Before I Self-Destruct was the explosion. This album wasn't polished, radio-ready, or focused on chart dominance. It was 50 Cent with the mask off. Dark, angry, and brutally honest. You could feel it in the tone. This wasn't about success anymore. This was about everything that came with it: betrayal, isolation, paranoia, and pressure. Gone were the radio bangers like Inda Club or Candy Shop. This time, there was no sing-along single to ease listeners in, just straight heat. Baby by Me with Neo was the only attempt at a mainstream hit, and even that had a coldness to it. The hook was smooth, but the verses felt disconnected, like 50 was going through the motions to satisfy label expectations. Then came the rest of the tape, the real album. Death to My Enemies sounded like a personal declaration of war. Crime Wave was gritty, haunting, almost cinematic. You could picture the sirens in the background and G-Unit soldiers moving in formation. Stretch and So Disrespectful continued the theme, airing out real-life tension, exposing names, and settling scores. Sonically, it felt like an updated version of 50's mixtape era, the kind of music that would have shut down Dat Piff in 2003, and that's what made it feel special to the Day One fans. This wasn't album mode 50. This was bulletproof vest 50, back on offense. But the world had moved on. First week sales came in at around 160,000, a far cry from the million-plus weeks he once owned. Critics shrugged, blogs ignored it. It was like the industry had already decided his chapter was closed. But 50? He had other plans. Behind the scenes, he was shifting, moving from music to movies, building the foundation for Power, working on SK Energy, studying the blueprint of Moguls. Before I Self-Destruct may not have topped the charts, but it marked the exact moment 50 Cent stopped chasing approval and started chasing ownership. The music slowed down, but the empire? That was just getting started. Animal Ambition, 2014. By 2014, 50 Cent wasn't chasing radio spins or competing with the new wave of rappers. He had already pivoted from artist to architect, and Animal Ambition was his first official release as a fully independent boss. This was his first drop after leaving Interscope. No label hands in the pot, no marketing team filtering ideas, just 50 and his business playbook. And he didn't just release an album. He executed a fully integrated rollout where every single had a music video, every video pushed a brand, and every brand was part of his empire. This wasn't just music. This was a multimedia business funnel. Each song tied back to a product. FN Vodka in the background of the visuals, SMS audio headphones on his head. SK Energy mentioned in interviews 50 was rapping in the front, selling in the back. Tracks like Pilot, Hold On, and Don't Worry About It had a cooler, more refined feel. They weren't filled with anger or hunger, like they were measured, strategic, and deliberate. Gone was the reckless, get rich or die tryin' energy. This was already rich 50s who was now focused on positioning, leverage, and ownership. Critically, the album didn't make huge waves, no Billboard hits, no viral moments, but that was never the point. The entire purpose of Animal Ambition was control. It was a proof of concept. 50 didn't need a major label machine to move units, push product, or stay relevant. He used the album as a content engine, not for clout, but for conversion, and it paid off. While other rappers were still chasing club placements and late-night talk show performances, 50 was sitting at boardroom tables negotiating distribution deals and brand buyouts. His FN Vodka deal alone reportedly made him over $60 million, quietly eclipsing most artists' entire careers, all off of branding momentum built during this era. Animal Ambition wasn't about rapping better, it was about moving smarter. It proved that 50 Cent didn't need to drop the hottest album of the year to dominate the conversation, because by then, he understood one thing most artists never figure out. Music was the commercial. Ownership was the product. And with that blueprint in place, 50 stepped off the stage and into legacy mode. Power era plus mixtape legacy. As fans waited for the never-released Street King Immortal, 50 made a different kind of move. He traded hooks for Hollywood. And what he built with Power? That wasn't just a show. It was a full-blown television universe. Curtis Jackson didn't just become an executive producer. He became a character, a villain, a meme, a movement. Kanan Stark was ruthless, strategic, and unforgettable. Basically 50 in a fitted suit instead of a bulletproof vest. But even while TV was booming, 50's real fans knew. The story didn't start on stars, it started on mixtapes. Before the plaques and the press runs, 50 was flooding the streets with classics. 50 Cent is the future. No Mercy, No Fear, God's Plan, the Big Ten War Angel LP. He flipped other people's beats, bodied them, and took their buzz. He literally jacked for clout, and the industry had no choice but to take notice. Nobody was doing it like him. And after him, everybody was copying. Those tapes weren't throwaways. They were strategic heat drops. They made him dangerous. They made him undeniable. And most of all, they made him inevitable. Bro. The 50 Cent blueprint. So, whether you're bumping What Up Gangsta in the gym, quoting Kanan on a rewatch, or remembering when G Unit had the whole block in jerseys? One thing is clear: 50 Cent didn't just drop hits, he dropped game. He walked into the music industry with a chip on his shoulder, a bullet in his jaw, and a business plan in his pocket. And over time, he evolved from rapper to brand to boss to blueprint. You might not hear his name on the radio like you used to, but trust me, his influence never left. Because Curtis Jackson didn't just survive hip-hop, he mastered This has been another breakdown from Fake Famous. I'm Elliot Wilson, and if you made it this far, you already know what it is. Hit that like, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. We drop new episodes every week, and the next one might just be about your favorite rapper. Stay tapped in.